What's up, you guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Fit Women's Weekly podcast. I'm your host, Kindal. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the show. I hope that you enjoy what you hear and that you find some nuggets of information that make you want to come back for future episodes, or go check out the 460 previous episodes, actually more than that at this point, to get caught up and to learn all things fitness, nutrition, lifestyle. So much stuff has gone down on the show, you guys. And if you're an OG listener, you already know that, and you know how much I freaking love this time together, where it is girl talk. We catch up on all things that are passionate to us. And I try to answer your questions. I try to share my life with you guys, the lessons that I learned in being a personal trainer for the past 15 years. And today is no different. So for the past 7 weeks, I have been going through a very dramatic nutrition challenge called the Carnivore Diet. And so today I'm going to catch you guys up on how those 7 weeks have gone, how I'm feeling, what led me to do this, answering a lot of your questions, and then talking about what's next. What am I planning to do? How far will this challenge go for me? And once the challenge date is over, what's going to happen to my nutrition? So that's today's topic. But first, let's catch up on a couple of things. I am so excited to announce that on January 9th, our 11th annual Strong Start Challenge kicks off. I have been doing this since the infancy of my physical studios here in Charleston. And then when we created Fit Women's Weekly Live, I wanted to bring it to the online space as well. So this is an 8-week online virtual challenge that includes all things strength training, nutrition, mindset, coaching, accountability, everything that you need to accomplish your goals. I don't know about you guys. I know everybody, or most of us, have a tendency to set goals in January, right? Even if you're not a goal setter, you just kind of feel this pressure of like, what is it that I want to accomplish? And you just unintentionally, a lot of times, set goals for yourself. And then we end up not hitting those goals, and we feel like either a failure, or we feel like, what's wrong with me? Do I have no self-discipline to be able to accomplish these goals? Why don't I have the willpower to do it? When really it's not that you don't have the willpower, it's just that you don't have the right plan laid out, and you don't have a fun way of doing it. Nobody likes to do challenging things by themselves. And if you don't have the right tools and the right coaching, then it's kind of like trying to get to a new destination without using your maps on your phone, right? You can't just go out on the road and figure out how to get to your destination blindly. You need to have a plan set out. And that's what the Strong Start Challenge is all about. I create a day-by-day plan. So all you have to do is open up your training sheet each day, knock out the workout that's labeled to do, knock out your fit quickies that are on that day, which is just a 5-minute or less extra fitness challenge to add extra movement, make you stronger in a movement, help you learn the fundamentals of exercise, to really help push yourself just a little bit farther, and to help encourage movement throughout the day versus just that 30 to 45 to 60-minute workout, whatever it is that you're doing for that day. You're also going to get nutritional challenges, layout of what's going to be needed in order to hit your goals. What kind of protein do you need? What kind of macronutrients do I recommend for you? You're going to get access to recipes, brand new recipes that are going to be in my 2023 cookbook. You're going to get early bird access to all of those and so much more. Plus, you're going to get access to me to talk to me every single day, ask me questions, get the pep talk that you need, get the tough love that you need. We all need trainer tough love from time to time. Plus, you'll be surrounded by a community of women that are going through this with you. What separates Fit Women's Weekly Live so much from any other online platform? It truly is the most personalized program out there, you guys. And I know that I'm starting this podcast as like a little sales pitch, but that's because I believe in this so much. I want to get to know you. I want to get to know what your goals are, what limits you, what do we need to do differently from somebody else in order for you to hit those goals, versus you just being a screen name and saying, here are my workouts, do them. Yes, I do design the workouts in a certain way, but that doesn't mean that's the way that you have to do them. If you are rushed on time, we'll make it so that the workout fits more into your schedule. All you have to say is like, Kindle, I don't have an hour to do the workout. I don't have 30 minutes. Because in case you didn't know, I do 2 live workouts every day, a 60-minute version and a 30-minute version. But if you only have 15 minutes, ask my opinion and I'll tell you how to get the most out of it in 15 minutes. If there's an exercise that you can't do, we have several pregnant ladies right now. So when I go to do the workouts, I know that about them. So I say, hey, if you're XYZ, this is what I want you to do instead. You do not get that on any of these big platforms where you're just one of thousands, right? We're going to keep membership to Fit Women's Weekly Live capped at 300. And so this is the time to get in, because once 300 members join in, it's going to be locked. And I'm really hoping that this New Year's challenge, the Strong Start Challenge, is going to help get us to that 300 number. So don't keep pushing this off. Do something for yourself. Start taking action while you're setting those goals. Take the actionable steps to achieve your goals so that you don't fail yourself, so that you don't feel like you have zero willpower. You do, you just don't have the tools yet, but you will. And for podcast listeners, when you sign up, you'll go ahead and get instant access to Fit Women's Weekly Live. So you can go ahead and start working out with me right now if you want to. You don't have to wait until January 9th. You'll get immediate access to the group, start hitting the ground running so that once January 9th does roll around, you know exactly what you need. You've already gotten the flow down. We've already connected. We're already on like comfortable terms with one another. And there's no question. You just got to open the training plan and do it each day. So if that's something that you're interested in, registration just opens up today to podcast listeners. So I'm going to put the link down in the description. But if you have questions or you can't get there for any reason, email me, Kindle@fitwomensweekly.com, or slide into my DMs over on Instagram, Kindle Boyle Fitness. All right, guys. So I've got a new setup going on. I've got my camera rolling because I'm going to put this on YouTube. If you guys missed it, every episode will be on YouTube so that you can watch and hear if that's the way you take in information best. But I'm also recording, and you guys, we upped our podcast game. I've got a super fancy mic that I'm trying to figure out. So I've got my phone going in one part. I've got my computer and the microphone going on another part. So you guys just, I'm getting there. You know, I am real. I'm also excited because today is the first day I get to wear my Santa leggings. So I feel very Christmassy. I kind of forgot that Christmas is less than 2 weeks away. And you know what would make a really great Christmas gift? The gift of Fit Women's Weekly Live, or just sharing this podcast with people. Maybe you have a friend or family member that is looking for a fun women's focused fitness podcast. Just let them know. It's a free gift. So make sure to share this podcast, you guys. All right, let's talk about the carnivore diet a little bit. The carnivore diet is essentially exactly what it sounds like. As of right now, I'm not eating any plant-based foods, no fruits, no vegetables. Everything that I put on my plate is animal-based, whether that is eggs, dairy, or meat. So why am I doing this? Basically, it's a very big elimination diet. I have talked a lot about my gut health over the past few years. I even did a very big nutritional program last year to help with my gut issues. It did help a little bit, but not completely. So some of the things that I've dealt with are joint pain, which a lot of times is contributed to nutrition and inflammation. I've dealt with extreme bloating and cramping. Basically, every time I would eat breakfast or lunch, I would look 3 to 6 months pregnant, to the point where I would push my stomach and it would hurt. At some points, I thought that I was having a heart attack, but it turned out it was just gas. Gas hurts if you guys have never had it when it gets into your chest. Severe gas, like passing gas, which is not sexy by any means. It was very embarrassing. It was very aromatic, I guess is the PG way of saying that, but not aromatic in a good way. Again, embarrassing issues coming up. I have had off and on dealt with hemorrhoids. I have had emergency bathroom breaks where I've had to stop in the middle of a run behind people's bushes to go to the bathroom. So when I'm saying that I've had some digestion issues, I'm not exaggerating that in any sense of the word. I've also had cystic acne off and on for the past couple of years. I had developed an egg allergy, I think from just other issues in my life and my nutrition. So I wanted to kind of figure out what the heck was going on. Not to mention, I was eating a little too much sugar. I just felt like I was being pulled to it. I couldn't break the cravings. And I had put on a little bit of weight. A lot of it was inflammation and bloating, I could tell, but it didn't feel good to carry that around. I didn't feel like myself. So for the past, I would say, year, my husband, Dan, had kind of been saying off and on, hey, maybe you should try the carnivore diet. You know, I've been listening to a Joe Rogan episode, or I saw this, maybe this can help you. And I wasn't ready to take that step because of my nutritional background. I'm like, no, I need carbs. The history that I have with nutrition, I don't want to do anything super severe. But as I started to feel worse and worse, I was like, what is it going to hurt? I am a science person at heart. I love experimenting with my body. I was a vegan for 2 years, about a decade ago, simply because that was a way for me to, I wanted to figure out how the body felt when it was void of meat. So now I'm doing the complete opposite. And I've done podcasts on that. I am never somebody to say one way of eating is bad, one way of eating is good. I think that people need to experiment to figure out what works best for you, because at the heart of it, we're all so very different. For me personally, vegan diet did not pan out. I was very low on energy. I lost a lot of weight for the amount of movement I do. And even back then I was very, very active. At that point, I was really big into running. So I was running about 50 or more miles per week. And for my 5'5" frame, I was about 108 pounds, and that was still eating very bulky foods. It just, I wasn't able to personally at that time, maybe it was because I wasn't educated enough, but I wasn't eating to sustain everything that I was doing. And I was very anemic. I was very run down. It just did not work for me personally. So I've been on a very balanced diet for the past several years, but clearly things just weren't quite right. And so the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know, maybe I should give this a try. So on October the 22nd, I did write this down, which was a Saturday, I went full carnivore. The week prior to that, I had gone more keto because I had some things in my pantry I wanted to use up. I had some vegetables that my husband, who is a pretty picky eater, wouldn't eat. So it's not like I have the vegetables I like, he has the vegetables that he likes, and I didn't want those to go to waste. So on the week before the 22nd, I started upping my protein, upping my fat, decreasing my carbohydrate intake, and just kept my carbs under, I think, 50 grams per day, focusing just on eating sweet potatoes that I had in the pantry and that kind of stuff. And then on the 22nd, which was a day that we actually went to the fair that day, and I kicked off my carnivore experiment by having a steak on a stick at the carnivore or at the fair. It was actually pretty good, not worth how much it cost, but it just was very symbolic to me of like, all right, now it's all beginning. And it made it easy for me to remember what day I actually started. So it is now about 7.5 weeks in at the time that I am recording this podcast. And there are a couple, so why the carnivore diet aside from the elimination? Like, what is it that the carnivore enthusiasts have to say about this? Just like the vegan world, just like any type where people think that this is just like the one way to live, there are some really big believers in the carnivore diet that really push it towards everybody. And the idea being that plants have a defensive mechanism just like animals do. They don't want to be eaten, right? They're trying to survive. So while they do have a lot of nutrients within them, they also have a lot of chemical plant defense chemicals, which is basically toxic to humans. So while they do have a lot of great vitamins, a lot of great minerals, at the heart of it, they're not all bioavailable to us because they have the other things in them that prevent us from being able to truly get all the nutrients that are within a plant. And that's a way of protecting the plant because they don't want us to eat it. All plant parts, as far as stems, leaves, root systems are concerned, carnivore enthusiasts say that these are inherently poisonous to people, that they are full of oxalates, things like phytic acid, which can be, well, it prevents us from getting those nutrients, like I said, but can also be harmful on our liver overall, can help increase inflammation in the body. And that list of chemicals goes on and on and on. Those are just the two as far as oxalates and phytic acid are concerned. Am I a super strong believer in that? I don't know yet, you guys. I am continuing to do research. This is going to be a long-term study for me, trying to figure out, is there truly a belief in that plants are bad? But at the heart of it, that makes absolute sense, right? A plant is stuck. It can't run away from its prey. So it has to do other things in order to protect itself. And we all know you can't just walk up to a plant in the middle of the woods if you're hungry and eat it, because you don't know if you're going to drop dead right there from eating it. We know that plants are toxic, that they do have poison. And so maybe even if it's not like poison ivy, everyday plants could still have some of those kind of things within them. Does that make sense? However, on the carnivore diet, there are some followers that believe that eating fruit is okay because plants want their fruit to be ingested by other things in order for their seeds to spread. So fruit is the edible part of the plant where it wants animals to come up to it and be like, oh my gosh, this is so pretty. This is so sweet. That is why it tastes sweet, so that it can be consumed and the seeds can be out. Seeds are just as bad, according to carnivore followers, and especially seed oils. They basically put seed oils on why everybody has cholesterol issues, inflammation issues, heart disease. From what I am learning, everything that is wrong with nutrition world comes from seed oils. Now, again, I'm not saying that this is what I believe. It is just something that I am definitely looking into. I decided to embark on this because, one, I wanted to see how it would make me feel, especially as somebody that moves as much as I do, getting over 20,000 steps a day, working out 2 to 3 times a day for my job. I'm very, very active. Can somebody with my lifestyle follow something so severe? I also wanted to see if it would help with my gut health. Can it help with my leaky gut? Can it help clear the issues that I'm having and help reestablish a good balance of gut bacteria? Because obviously that is out of whack with the diarrhea and stuff that I was having, and help heal myself moving forward. So how are things going? Things are going freaking pretty good, you guys. And I kind of hate to say that. I don't want to say this is working for me, but 7 weeks in, this is working for me right now. It did not start working for me. There were quite a few times where I looked at my husband and said, I don't know if I can do this. Not because it was hard to eat this way, but because at first I was trying to follow more of a ketogenic diet where it was 80% fat, 20% protein. Well, you guys, when you're eating a high animal, nothing but animals, right? It's very hard to have only 20% fat and 80% fat and only 20% protein. That basically a lot of carnivore people eat butter. I am not doing that, but I was stressing out trying to get as much fat as I could in my diet, and it made me feel so gross. I was putting a lot of butter on my food. I was putting a lot of oils on my food. I was eating the fat of steak, like that grizzly part, because I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I've got to get my fat intake up. But within 30 minutes to 60 minutes of eating, it would just pass through my system. It wasn't that I would have an upset stomach, like stomach pains. It was just, I hate to say this, so sorry if you guys don't like bathroom talk. However, this is the stuff we have to talk about when you are doing nutritional challenges. I couldn't trust a toot. You heard that correct. I would have to run to the bathroom, and then I would just sit on the toilet while things just poured out. It was not fun. And again, it would happen, and I'd even have to tell my husband, like, you've got to put headphones on because I don't want you to hear me in the bathroom right now while stuff is just coming out of my body uncontrollably. I did have only one mishap where I thought that I was okay to toot, and I was not. But luckily I was at home. I was by myself because Dan and I have been together for almost 18 years, but that is still something like I don't like to do that kind of stuff in front of him. So I didn't want to poop my pants in front of my husband. I was able to clean myself up and it was fine. It happened once, but that was one of the issues where I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And at that point, I started to do a little bit more research. It is normal when you first start something so extreme with any type of diet for your body to go through that shocking time of like, what are you doing to me? Right? Like, oh my God, while your body is adjusting to it. And it's definitely a common thing with carnivore. It can happen for 1 to 3 to 4 weeks. And so I started to just kind of figure out how to get rid of it. Some people recommended just adding in some avocado, because when that is fruit, it has a little bit of fiber just to kind of help keep things together. I did not do that. I really wanted to stick with the carnivore 100%. But I did learn something about the lion diet, which is a part of carnivore. If you could go any more extreme, it's the lion diet, where they eat just cow, lamb, just ruminant animals, and it's supposed to be healthier on your gut. So I also had the realization that my body just does not do well with extremely high fat like that. And I just chilled a little bit more. I stopped focusing so much on trying to get 80% fat and just instead focused on getting healthy animal products into my system. And since I've done that, my protein is definitely up higher, my fat is down lower, but I feel so much better. I have not had any of those kind of issues in probably a week and a half. So yeah, that's a win. One of the questions, since we are talking about poop, is might as well go ahead and cover right now. Have I been constipated? No, I have not been. It has been an adjustment because I'm so used. I was eating salads every single day, gosh, probably off and on the past decade. And so was definitely a high fiber diet. And obviously people know that when you eat high fiber, that's also eating a lot of leafy vegetables that can't be digested. And so you kind of tend to have big poos, you know what I mean? And so now that my body doesn't have all of that fiber going into it, the bathroom parts aren't as I don't know how to talk about this, y'all. My poops aren't as big, okay? But I also take that as a sign that I'm not constipated. So things are coming out, but my body's absorbing what it needs and letting go of what it doesn't need. And I don't have stuff coming into my system that it can't break down like I was doing before when I was eating all the leafy stuff. Your body doesn't digest that. It just goes through, which is one of the reasons that people have such big poops when they have a high fiber diet. And so now that I don't have all that stuff that my body can't break down, they are smaller, but they are, for the most part, just as regular. So that's kind of been interesting. I don't feel constipated at all. I don't feel bloated at all, which has been, so let's talk about the side effects since I'm getting into that. As far as, so I talked that before I got on this, I was bloated and gassy every day of my life. Every time I ate, no fun. Immediately, I would say within the first week, my gas and my bloat have gone away. I thought that it was normal just to be a tooty person, like people fart, you know? And I thought that was just kind of normal to toot multiple times a day. Yeah, we're getting real personal today. And since I have been on this elimination diet, I don't feel like I'm holding any extra gas in. I toot from time to time, but nowhere near like I used to. I have zero bloat. I no longer have to worry about, like, if I ever had a photo shoot or photos later in the day, Dan and I would always tease, like, make sure I don't have a shake or make sure I don't eat before, because it would mess up my definition. And of course, when I'm doing photos for my website or for my brand, I want to look the best that I can. Now I feel like I could eat lunch and immediately go film and take pictures, which is so interesting to me. I just have no bloat, so that's cool. Other things that I've noticed is I don't have night sweats anymore. I was having severe night sweats. No matter how cold it was at night, I would wake up and end up sleeping naked, like taking all my clothes off and just being naked. I'm sleeping now through the night for the most part, unless I have to wake up to pee, but I'm no longer having to take off all of my clothes. So that's a huge thing. I mean, it was so bad. Like Dan would be like, you need to roll over from me because you are letting off so much steam right now. So night sweats have disappeared. One of the more interesting things is my body odor. I kind of didn't even realize it until about 2 weeks ago. And I came home and I was like, you're not going to believe what I've realized. I sweat a lot. I work out a lot, as you guys know, and I had pretty bad body odor when I was working out. I always laughed that I smelled like a teenage football player. It was just oniony and sour, and there was nothing good about it. I mean, I could be working out and I would smell myself and go, oh my God, But for about the past 2 weeks, I could go without deodorant. Like I have zero body odor, and that is pretty refreshing. I now feel comfortable if I need to work out and then go run errands. Before, I didn't do that. I was so embarrassed with the way, like even working out with friends, I'd be like, I'm so sorry. If you smell me right now, I'm sorry. Didn't matter if I had deodorant on or not. Now, issue is gone. Other things that I've noticed, more muscle mass. I have definitely bulked up a little bit. However, I have leaned out. But when I see pictures of myself, I am absolutely mortified. My muscles are bigger. I am broader. And that's been cool. And it makes sense. I'm eating more protein. And because of how active I am, I didn't realize how much protein I personally needed to be able to add on muscle mass. I think I just wasn't eating in as much of a caloric surplus or even like maintenance zone for what I do every day. And now that I'm eating so many high calorie foods, my body is finally able to take in that nutrients and build tissue from it. So that's been really fun to watch. And I always thought that I needed around 120 grams of protein per day based on that like 1-to-1 ratio. I weigh about 125 pounds, which I'll talk about here in just a second too, more of. But right now I'm taking in probably close to 200 grams of protein. And should I be worried about my liver? The science says no. I have talked to doctors about it. I am making sure that I have electrolytes in my system. I'm drinking plenty of water to help flush everything out of my system that doesn't need to be there. So I'm not worried about protein toxicity or anything like that. So that's been really cool. My sugar cravings have obviously decreased. I don't think that that's because of the carnivore diet. I think it's just because I went all in and cut it all out. When you go through the withdrawals after the first week or so, obviously your cravings go down. So I have not missed my sweets at all. The hardest part though, I will say, is that every week I cook for friends and family, sweet treats, and it really stinks making delicious food for other people and not being able to eat it. I made Christmas cookies this weekend. I did not eat them, but they looked really, really pretty. I can now eat eggs again. I had mentioned earlier that for several years, if I ever ate an egg, it was associated with my skin. I had created some kind of egg sensitivity. I could eat fried egg, boiled egg, it doesn't matter what kind of egg, scrambled egg. In about 2 to 3 days, I would wake up with some sort of cystic acne on my face. And that has also cleared up. I am eating more eggs than ever, and it makes me so happy. I love eggs, but I had to stay away from them off and on for the past 3 years. And now they are back into my diet. I have no 3 p.m. slump. Most of us get that. We're at like 2 or 3. We're like, oh my God, I need a coffee. I am working more focused than ever before. These are not things that I went in even thinking about. It was just more of Dan would come home at night and be like, man, I'm so tired. At 3 p.m. I had to do, a 5-hour energy shot. And all of a sudden I was like, wait, at 3 p.m. I was not head nodding like I used to do, or I haven't taken a power nap all week, which sometimes I used to take a 10 to 20 minute power nap. Have not done that in 7 weeks. No, I wouldn't say no joint pain, but decreased joint pain. I run a lot. I lift weights a lot. I have a lot of wear and tear on my knees. I do have a knee injury from several years ago, and my knees just hurt. But I will say that the inflammation in them is gone. I no longer feel swollen. Like sometimes after a good long run, I would have to really rub my legs, try to do some squats, try to get some flow into them because they felt swollen, and that has been gone, which is freaking awesome. And one of the reasons that I wanted to do this elimination as well. And I am leaner. So this is the last thing. This is just a really big perk. Like I had said, I had put on a little bit of non-muscle mass tissue, body fat, and inflammation. And I just didn't feel very good in my body. I just was looking in the mirror and I was like, I just don't feel like myself. I was carrying about 10 pounds extra than what I normally do. And so while this wasn't a weight loss experiment, it has been fun to be back into my own skin and to see those results. I started at about 131 pounds, which is like I said, about 10 pounds heavier than, well, about 8 pounds heavier than what I normally am. I'm not afraid of being heavier as long as it's muscle mass. Like I want to put on muscle mass like everybody else. And right now I'm at about 125 pounds. But like I said, I've also added more muscle mass to my frame and I've leaned out. I've been able to actually this past weekend zip up a skirt that I have not been able to zip up in a year. So yeah, that felt really good. And I just feel sexier. You know, I feel more confident. I feel sexier in front of my husband. I feel sexier walking around, more confident walking around, stronger walking around. And those are all really positive things for me. So that is how things are going. Those are the side effects that I've seen so far. What are some of the common issues or questions that you guys had? Oh, here was another symptom real fast, was increased thirst, especially at the beginning. I even messaged my friend Gigi over at Gigi Eats, because she's like the keto queen, and said, I am so thirsty. Do you have any tips for me? Is this going to go away? She's like, yes, your body does eventually adjust to it. You'll be fine. Because I was already drinking a gallon of water a day. That's my typical amount. I'm like, how am I supposed to drink more than a gallon a day? But I'm so thirsty. I made sure to increase my electrolytes. So not only did I keep drinking an electrolyte drink per day, but I put pink Himalayan salt on a lot of the meals that I eat, because that also helps with digestion of the fat and the protein, but helps with electrolyte balance as well. So that has been really helpful. And now my thirst has leveled out. So yes. And then one of the other cool things, which was a question, was about the grocery bill. How much do groceries cost right now? You would be surprised that our groceries have actually gone down. And that feels pretty good. Now, I am not a wealthy person by any means. I am fortunate. We have a roof over our head. We have everything that we need, but I don't make a lot of money. I'm not like a lot of the people that are pushing this kind of stuff that can buy from websites, grass-fed, this and that. I do the best that I can, but I do buy everything that we eat at a normal grocery store. And I go in the mornings. I do my grocery shopping on Fridays. And I'm saying that because that is when the meat prices, a lot of times that weren't sold the day before, in the morning, those prices get knocked down. So when I'm buying steak, when I'm trying to look for good beef, a lot of times I've been lucky that they have been marked down, and that's helped with our bill as well. And then y'all, I swear by Costco. Costco has some of the best meats. I have been able to buy some really great tenderloins, some really great sirloins for a quarter of the price of which I would find at the grocery store. And that's been enough to last. Like I'll spend about $30 to $40 of meat there each week. And then I go to the grocery store, and our bill this past week was $160 for, I only go to the store once per week, and that lasts us for a full week. And it was $160, where normally lately, because of inflation and the price of everything, our bill has been very close. It's been $200, sometimes even more. So to see that bill at $160, I was like, what? So that's been really cool. And again, I buy the best that I can. Now, I know some people have said you need to talk more about the environmental concerns with eating a high meat diet because it's bad for the environment. I will do that at a later time. I need to research more on that. But I think that everybody also needs to remember there's always two sides to things. And if I look at the environmental concerns of beef, which aren't as bad as people think, but you also look at the environmental concerns of agriculture, I think people will be surprised. I'm not trying to defend one or the other. That is not what this podcast is about. But if that is a topic that is of interest for you guys, I will get somebody on here that can talk about that topic. That's just not something I feel like diving into. It's a very polarizing, and this is about us sitting at a coffee shop, chit-chatting about life, and I'm not debating, but look up almond farms and their toll on environment, and you'll be very, very surprised. But no, you are absolutely right. There are environmental concerns when it comes to eating such a meat-driven diet. So those are things that I want to learn more about. We're just not going to talk about it in this particular episode. So what does my actual diet look like right now? I wake up and I have collagen coffee with a little bit of butter. I was doing the whole big time bulletproof coffee where it's a whole tablespoon of butter and it's very fatty, but again, didn't sit well with my stomach. So I just put a little bit in just because it tastes good. I've been using full heavy cream, chocolate collagen, and I just grab that and I go. And then for my first meal, which is at 11 to 11:30, I have a hodgepodge. So I'm not somebody that can just sit down and eat just chicken thighs or just steak. I kind of have to have a mix of things. And so I've really been enjoying smoked oysters, which I've grown up eating. I know that's weird to somebody. I love smoked oysters. So I'll do like smoked oysters with some steak or smoked oysters with some chicken thighs. I do try to stick more to the fattier meats because that's where a lot of the nutrients are found. And yeah, that's I'll just kind of switch it out, or I'll add a fried egg to that, or I'll do a lot of ground beef. And then that's pretty much what dinner looks like as well. Last night I had 2 chicken thighs and what did I have? And some ricotta cheese for dinner. And I am no longer doing I used to have a lunch, a shake, and then dinner. Now I do lunch and dinner. It's just filling. And if you're like, well, are you making sure to get enough calories? That sun's starting to come in here. I made the mistake of, I bought this beautiful porterhouse steak, ate the whole thing. And then I had weighed it before I ate it. And so then afterwards I put it into my Fitness Pal, just the steak alone. Cause it was I think it was 14 ounces, which 16 ounces is a pound. It was 1,100 calories. And that was for my one meal. So if I have 1,100 calories at lunch and then 1,100 calories at dinner, that's over 2,000 calories a day. Yes, I am eating plenty, but it was still a shock to be like, oh my God. Even though I'm not eating a porterhouse steak every day, I am still eating very fatty, very delicious meals, high protein, obviously at lunchtime. And my lunches are probably around 800 to 1,200 calories. And then same goes for dinner time. So yeah, that's what the day looks like. It's really not that exciting, but I'm also not getting tired of it. Somebody asked if I was getting tired of eating this way. And no, because it's really opened my eyes to new techniques of cooking, trying different cuts of meat, which I've never done before. I am just kind of having fun also learning how to make a really good steak. When I was younger, it had to be completely well done, almost burnt. As I've gotten older, I've let it get a little bit juicier. And now all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, kiss, good. My husband can't do that yet, but I am definitely getting used to it. We do eat bacon, though I do limit it because I just feel kind of greasy eating a lot of bacon. And ricotta, I love. Cottage cheese, I love. That's about it. Let's see. Have I come to deal with any problems with the carnivore diet so far? The biggest problems are going to people's houses or trying to explain it to people. But we went to a Christmas party this past weekend where they had like a tenderloin slider. I just took everything off of the bun and ate it. They had meatballs, they had shrimp. So we were able to do just fine. Have I cheated in any way throughout this whole thing? The only time that I have cheated was on Thanksgiving Day, but because I was already in a system of eating this way, I really wasn't that tempted. So I did have some Brussels sprouts and some green beans, and then I had made a cheesecake for dessert. I did have a little slice of that. but not near as much as what I normally would. So I actually walked away from Thanksgiving feeling really proud of the way that I went through it and how I felt. I didn't deprive myself, but I also didn't go ham like I normally would. But I do also plan on enjoying myself on Christmas, which takes us to the next question of, when is this challenge over? Technically, this challenge is over on Christmas. And at that time, I will decide what I want to take with me moving forward. I think I do want to go into a more animal-based diet for a little bit longer to continue to see if I continue, if I feel good now, am I going to continue to feel good? Yada, yada, yada. But when I say animal-based, I will let up a little bit and start including a little bit more fruit, like we talked about at the beginning, into my diet. Bananas, avocado. I love apples, so I'd like to start eating a little bit of that from time to time. And everybody deserves to be able to eat fruit. I'm not lost in the fact that I know that this is quite an extreme diet. And no, this is not something that I would recommend, which was a question of, would I recommend this for other people? If you have gut issues, or you just enjoy playing around with nutrition to see how something makes you feel, yes, I recommend it. I don't think that there's anything wrong if you know how to listen to your body. If you want to do this solely in order to lose weight, then no. There are easier ways to do this, to learn how to have balanced nutrition with proper macronutrients of protein, carbs, and fats. But again, if you just like to experiment to see how things make you feel, or you are having gut issues like me, then yes, I recommend 6 to 8 weeks of giving this a go to see if it helps you. But of course, anytime you do something this severe, make sure to talk to a doctor. Though I can also say that probably if you brought this up with your doctor, they would tell you that you are crazy. Because I would tell you you're crazy before I did this. But again, I think that we are all so different that what works for one person might not work for somebody else. But what does work could also work for you. So again, I'm not going to say I would recommend it to people, but based on where you are and what it is that you are trying to get out of it, it might work. So there you go. But I would say the same thing about, if you're dead set on trying veganism, okay, try being a vegan. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to be, oh my God, y'all, since I've been on this carnivore diet and following people and watching people, it's like this war of vegans versus carnivores, and they are mean to each other. I am not saying one is right, one is wrong. You do you and see if it works for you. Just test it out. But at the long or the short of it, if you are just trying to have a healthy, balanced lifestyle with a healthy outlook on food, then no, I would not recommend this. This is a severe way of eating. What has been the hardest part of this? I promise you guys, we are almost done. The hardest part is, it really hasn't been hard. Probably just cooking and baking for people, because that's my love language, and not being able to enjoy it. But I don't feel deprived in any sense of the way. The hardest part was pooping my pants, was getting my system adjusted to it and being okay with creating my own way of navigating this versus navigating it the way that other people had said with the 80-20 rule. Once I let up on all of that fat, I feel so much better. And then the easiest part is, it's all been pretty easy. It makes planning dinners so much easier. I'm not having to look and be like, can we have a theme, like lasagna or taco night? It's more of like, here's your meat, enjoy. And so I actually have more time in my day, especially at nighttime, to be able to work and do my side hustles, because I'm not spending an hour cooking anymore. I'm cooking for 20 minutes. And yeah, and grocery shopping is easy. I know exactly. I just go to the meat section, then to the butter, grab my eggs, get out. And so, yeah, I'm saving a lot of time in life, which I didn't really realize until this little conversation right here. So thank you guys for letting me dig deeper. I'm leaning back in my chair because as you lean up, the sun has moved. So it's very exposed right now. So I'm trying to stay in the shadow. But yeah, those are the things that have happened so far. I do want to have some quote unquote experts on the carnivore diet come on to kind of share more of the whole plant defense chemical side of things, explain it a little bit more. We can talk about the environmental side. I don't mind being more controversial when guests are on, because that's their job, is to defend themselves. But I am not here to fight with you guys. You are my people. So I try to be neutral to everything, because that's how life is supposed to be. All right, you guys. So that's it. But remember, remember how we talked about the Strong Start Challenge at the beginning of this chit chat? Go sign up. Registration is open. It's not going to stay open. When spots fill up, it will close. Go get those details. If you want to take action in the new year, working towards your goals and actually hitting them this time around, let me help you. I would love to do this with you. Absolutely love it. So just go, make sure, click the details. Also, thank you so much to our sponsor. You guys know I love some athletic greens. For the past few weeks, I have cut them out. Well, the past 2 weeks, just because it is plant-based, but that is the one compromise that I've made with Dan for sure, is that even moving forward, once the strict experiment is over, I am adding athletic greens back to make sure that I'm getting my vitamins, my minerals, my probiotics, my prebiotics, my adaptogens all into my system. They make those vitamins and minerals bioavailable to us so that our bodies run more efficiently. It is a multivitamin. It is a probiotic. It is your adaptogens all in one powder, and it freaking tastes delicious. You guys know I've been using athletic greens for years and years and years now, and I don't plan on stopping. I'm just taking a little pause so that I can get my full views on what's going on right now. But Dan still uses it every single day and loves it. You can go get your athletic greens with code FWW. You'll also get a package of their a free package of their travel satchels, which is what I always use, and a year's supply of vitamin D. Sound good? All right, you guys, make sure if you enjoyed this podcast, it was a little bit longer of one today, but it's been so fun catching you guys up on everything. Subscribe to the channel, give a like, comment down below if you guys think I'm crazy, or if you think that this would ever be something that not that you should do or you would do, but could you do it, is what I would love to hear. And then go get yourself signed up for the 8-week Strong Start. Bye. Mwah.